Welcome to the Church Communications Podcast, powered by Church Visuals. We believe that effective communication is integral to leading your congregation and community. Join Katie Allred and Carl Barnhill each week to dive into insights and strategies that will help you grow your church. Whether you're a pastor, a church leader, or someone interested in maximizing your communication to make a difference, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Church Communications Podcast. I am Katie Allred, and it is so lovely to be with you all again. Thank you for listening. I know that you can listen to any podcast, but I appreciate the fact that you're listening to ours. And I'm joined again by my lovely co-host this season, Carl Barnhill. Carl, how are you doing?
Lovely being the opportune word there. Thank you. It's awesome to be here with you, Katie. So I have a question for you. The paintings behind you, we've seen them all season. Are those official Bob Ross paintings behind you there, or
these are not paintings?
Oh, okay. Just
these are
a canvas?
Pictures that I took with my iPhone in Banff, Canada.
Okay, so iPhone photos, canvas wrapped.
Yeah.
Katie,
if
I think they're Bob Ross paintings, that is a huge compliment to your iPhone camera capturing skills.
My iPhone photography is bar none. Yes, I took that on like an iPhone, 8 or something back.
Impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. I think I got it from canvasdiscount.com or something. Not that we're sponsored by Canvas Discount, but if they want to come
I was about to say. And now your affiliate link for Canvas Prints.
Oh, yeah. That's good. And today I'm excited because we're joined with Barbara Canero. Barbara, you have been a long-time member of our group, so thank you so much for being a part of our community. I wanted to just thank you first off, but for the people who don't know who Barbara is, Barbara, can you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my day job is with the agency. I own Word Revolution, and my focus is really just to work with churches. I tend to say branding and communications, but people think of logos when I say that, and I think it's a little bit deeper. So we try to capture their heartbeat, their DNA, and just put it out in the world. So look at the church from the inside and push it out to the outside. So yeah, it's a lot more fun when you do it than when you say it. But
nice.
Yeah, you guys serve a lot of great folks. I know we've talked before just to kind of about your journey and where you come from, like secular world into church world. What have you learned the last couple years, especially maybe coming out of COVID or whatever, on where churches are from a communication standpoint?
Yeah. Oh, that is such a great question. So I find it funny because I think most people that I come across they grew up in church and now they have to figure out the comm side of things. And I come from the other side. Like I mean, communications is my background. And I had to figure out why these guys with PowerPoints in church again? Understand the intricacies of what it means to do ministry. And so I came to faith about 12 years ago. And so my journey has been one of what is a narthex? A lot of things that I had no clue about, and, having to understand a little bit of the Christianese, but also the culture of how churches operate. And a couple of things I'm seeing more of a freedom to outsource, to understand the possibility of remote work where a person doesn't have to attend your church or come to your church for work. And really empower them to have, and I'm not saying they don't have to be a part of your church, but enabling people to do great work from a distance. I think it's a big shift, and I'm excited about. I feel like there's potential to really help churches grow, even though I'm not in New York, so.
Yeah.
I think one of the shifts. Yeah.
There's a huge benefit to that. And I know that me and you both, Barbara, work remotely for churches. And I think it opens up the door to work with great people in the kingdom. Mm-hmm. They're not just, they don't have to be down the road from me. I love that, we can both work and really make an impact for the kingdom all over the country and around the world. Really. So that's really cool. All right. let's talk today about email marketing specifically for churches. So maybe get us started here on maybe the importance of churches utilizing email and what benefits maybe compared to other communication channels does email bring?
Sure. So when it comes to email marketing, oh, it's funny. I said that and I sounded like an AI just now, but that's not what I meant. So, and it repeats the thing that you just said kind of thing. No, but let's talk about email marketing. So the good news is that you get to own that. Like when we think of Facebook and Instagram and all these other tools, like you don't really own the list or the people in a way that, gives you a little bit more power or control. And I say this in a very positive way, like not controlling people as much as it is like you have the ability to be intentional with them as far as your communications. But we all freaked out when Facebook was down for like I don't know how many hours, or when Instagram was going through some issues. Like there's some things about it that makes us go a little, it gets us itchy. Where when you have a list, there's an opportunity for you to engage with them in a way that is independent from the tool that you're utilizing. And most people stay with their email for a while. Like it's not like even with Facebook accounts or Instagram accounts, every now and then you're gonna be like, I'm not gonna check that anymore. Or I'm gonna take a pause, or like your email is your email. So engagement happens. And because we now have, as users, like the person receiving the newsletters, we have far more control than we used to have, right? I can unsubscribe, I can put into folders, I can do whatever I want. It gives me also permission to decide how I'm engaging with the church. But at the same time, the church also has the ability to email me and contact me. So I feel like it's a safer place to engage consistently. In the business world, some people refer to your list as one of your greatest assets. And so I believe that to be true. Like, the quality of your list is important as well. I don't want to have just random people sign up, but even then, I don't know what's going to happen when somebody's going to receive an email from us that could potentially change their life, Yeah,
that's good. Okay. So if we're talking about email, there's so many different providers. And I know you probably have an opinion. So I want to hear your opinion on who you think the best provider is for email marketing.
I know that's always a spicy question because I tend to be quite opinionated about stuff like that. But at the same time,
I love that about you. So tell us why.
I know. Well, at the same time, so I deep inside, I want to be tool agnostic. Like I want to be like, hey, it doesn't really matter what tool you're using, but man, I've seen some that are just awful. Let's just be honest. And so I think the biggest struggles is when you're trying to utilize, for example, a database provider or a whatever provider that tells you, oh, you can also email your people with our system. But when you go in, it's just not easy to use. It's clunky. It's very outdated. And so do yourself a favor and allow yourself to utilize two separate tools. It is okay. They don't all have to be in one spot. I think that as long as they talk to each other nicely, you're going to benefit better from a tool that is powerful in email marketing more than having the tool that does it all for your church. That being said, I do believe there are some providers out there that are making an effort into creating tools that are powerful. So study what works for your church and do yourself a favor and find something that your people can actually use. That is more important than anything else. Now, I had to learn to love MailChimp because a lot of our clients use it. And so it was a little bit of a struggle at first. I'm not going to lie. I do think they've come a long way compared to where they were a few years ago. I wouldn't say it's the most robust tool. I think that it is an easy to use tool. It is easy for many churches to be plugged in right off the bat. I tend to like platforms that are a little bit more robust. But again, that's also because I'm coming from an angle of like, hey, we're going to make these automations and these segmentations. And, so there's a little bit of a nerd in me that wants to explore the tool a little bit more. But when I think of churches, I do believe that a good amount of churches out there might be able to do almost everything they need with a tool like MailChimp. And I wouldn't say it's a recommendation like this is the tool you should get as much as comparing, features and easiness of use. I think that would be one that I would probably say, hey, get started with that one. Yeah.
That's good.
Let's talk about the content of your email. If I'm a church, how much should they be visual in nature? How much should they be text only? Is there a
Yeah.
certain style or strategy that gets more engagement or impact?
Yeah. So I would love to say, Carl, everybody go for images and put the, I would love to be able to say that. But what I have found to be true is that it depends on I think it depends more on the culture of your church than it depends on what's actually working for everybody else. Because I'll be honest, like I receive emails from some churches and I was like, oh, I love this font. And I grab it and it's like, oh, it's an image. Like they made the whole thing an image.
Yeah.
But guess what? Guess what? Why am
Ugh.
I seeing the image? Because I have chosen to follow and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I know that I basically, I went through the extra effort of saying, yes, put it in my inbox. Yes, show me all images. Oh, so you were expecting the user to make those decisions. I can do them. You can do them.
Right.
The normal common person is not going to do them. And so Gmail alone will put that straight into the spam folder. And now you have this beautifully designed email that nobody sees, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to know your audience. Like a lot of people will receive, I think that some of the churches that email me, they have no idea that I'm like, I can't attend. I just like to receive your news.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that makes sense.
But one thing that, yeah, go ahead, Katie.
No. Just maybe, can you share like one example of a church that you feel like is excelling in this? Like that's doing a really great
On
job.
the image. Yeah, I think Passion does a great job with that. And I really think that Church Home in Seattle, they do a great job with the imagery side of things. Like their emails are really, I love receiving them. I absolutely love receiving them. But again, they have more of this visual component. Now, when I put myself at Church Home and I know the people that attend, they tend to be more of the designer, the artistics, the artists and the people that would have the knowledge to say, hey, I want to follow the emails my church is sending out. And so the people listening and paying attention would go that extra step to ensure they receive the email. Try to do that in a different city. In the Bible Belt, and it might not get the same results. And so can we reduce the level of action we want people to take? And let's be honest, there's the personal letter type emails, no matter how who you are as a church, I think we'll always get a different type of engagement naturally. So if you're not doing anything else, just get that personal note, almost like a letter. It doesn't have to be super long. It could be just to, summarize the sermon and put the photo of the pastor and his name at the bottom. And you might get some, engagement there.
Hi, it's Katie Allred, and I want to tell you a little bit more about ChurchCommPro.com. ChurchComm Pro, we are really excited about this membership offering because it's going to be different from anything that we've done before. We're excited to professionalize the industry, to give back to this community that has given us so much. And so the membership, it includes courses on church communications, my foundational course on church communications that goes along with my book. Through that course, you will create a communications plan. You will create a crisis communications plan. You'll create a social media plan. We will walk you step by step on how to do that, how to audit your communications and how to audit your website and how to build a website step by step. But then what's really cool is we also have other courses, like we have a ChatGPT mastery courses for churches, as well as certification, and we are planning so many more. I'm really excited, and I hope that you will join us. It's going to be $29 a month, so less than $1 a day, so that you can learn more and grow with us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
Tell me about best practices on segmenting my list, and how much segmenting should I do, and how many maybe emails should I send out to each segment?
When I face churches that are struggling to get people to remember the events, register for the events, show up for the events, sometimes I hear conversations that go like, we just need to send them to all of the newsletters, all of the social media channels, send it out in the newsletter. And so what they think needs to happen is we need to increase the amount of the volume and the amount of information for each event, but it's all one big communication with every single item, right? And so what
Yeah.
you're doing is you're basically saying, hey, I'm going to flood you with confusion everywhere you look. And so you just right, it's like, we have all these things happening, but you do that on social media, and then you go to your newsletter, you do the same thing, and then it becomes this like very busy billboard that you can't really read anymore. It becomes invisible. And so let's start with identifying, okay, what even makes sense for the main newsletter to begin with? So before you even segment, like, what makes sense for this? Should everything be there? And so this is when some ministries get a little upset, because it's like, well, you didn't put it in a newsletter, and that's a discussion for another day. But we need to identify what makes sense for the newsletter at a weekly basis. And then that then brings the question, okay, there's this one event for young adults. What do we do? What are our channels? What can we do about it? And so unless you have your list segmented, then you're not going to be able to send it just to those people, right? So
Yeah, you're sending it to the entire church, and
everybody.
Should you be sending it to the entire church?
Exactly. And so, but they think, well, I need to send it because I don't have another way to communicate with them.
Right.
And so that shows the problem. That shows that you might need to start segmenting your list by creating, okay, is there a specific list that we can create just for young adults? And the same thing for, families with kids, and you name it. It could be just for women or for men. And, at first it may seem like, okay, well, it seems like a great, a very, a large task to complete, but you don't have to go in and fix everything overnight. Start now. So are there any data that you can collect from your current database that can allow you to simply create a tag? Some of these databases can actually connect to a system like MailChimp, or even inside the actual database, you can say, hey, people with these tags, send them an email. Now you have a segment. I don't think I've never found somebody that segmented too deep. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You can send an email to 5 people if it applies to 5 people, and that is
Right.
okay.
Right.
So you don't have to wait until your database is gigantic. I mean, if some things only make sense to the women and you only have 20, send it to them. Yeah.
That's good. So if you're thinking about like what advice you would offer churches that are looking to improve their marketing, their email marketing specifically, what tools or resources would you recommend for them to succeed?
Yeah. Okay. Number one, this is going to be a big one. Okay. You know how we think about core values for a church, and we say, oh yeah, we have our vision, our mission, our core values. Yeah, we have them all. Yeah. But when was the last time you sat and you kind of look at them, or kind of thought about your email marketing from the lens of those core values, for example? Maybe it has been a while. But besides the actual core values that your church has, like, love God, love people, we've seen kind of a variety of these core values that have more to do with mission. I think every church should have what we call communication core values. So when you communicate, how are you communicating? Like, your whole department can have your own core values. So maybe, one thing that you're going to, one of the core, I'll give you a very clear example. One of the core values of one of our clients is to make the gospel relevant. That's the core value. I'm going to make the gospel relevant. Okay. How does that translate to my newsletter today? If I'm going to write something, how do I make that in the tone and of this core value, so that when I'm writing something, I make sure that it passes that filter? And one thing you can do is, I love to tell people, like, hey, you know what? Pick 5, because more than 5, it's hard to remember.
Sure.
So pick 5 core values for your communications department, and print them out. Put them next to you, like, print them out. And so you can literally have your newsletter can be 5 sections.
Yeah.
Section 1, make the gospel relevant. Section 2, love people, whatever that might be. And so when I'm creating content for that one section, instead of just being information, instead of just being another promotion, now I'm taking a different tone. And so if you don't do anything else, at least figure out a way that you can tie the sections of your email to a specific thing that you're trying to achieve. Maybe it's just 1. It doesn't have to be 5. Yeah.
That's good.
And work that into language and copy and all that. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. We have one that Jesus really is good. And so all they need to do every week is show in the newsletter that Jesus really is good.
That's good. If someone were to want to outsource their communications department, if a church is looking, hey, we could get a team for the price of one hire or something like that, on the communication side, what do you guys offer? What give me some options?
So, Carl, I like to first get churches through discovery. So it is a big desire of mine to really understand your heartbeat. And like we were talking about, like, oh, hire remote. The first question people ask is like, will they know who we are? Like, will they grasp our DNA, and how can they know? Well, we do that work up front by asking you a lot of questions. And so I literally put every single church through a process of 3 discovery meetings. And you'd be surprised. This is the best part, because as I'm asking them questions, it's very, very often it happens like, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, I never thought about that. Because there's something really cool about each church, like always happens every single time. There's something so unique and so cool about each church, but you're coming from the outside. You can see things they cannot see. And now you bring it to the surface and you're like, hey, when I ask you questions, when you talk about your church, this is what I see. And you know what happens every time? It's like, yeah, that's who we are. So it's almost like when somebody helps you name something that you can't put your finger on. And so that's my role. My role is to reveal the heartbeat of that church. And it helps them too, because the minute they see it, they can become that and unapologetically. And you know what happens every now and then? I'm like, oh, here's the content for the homepage. And like, oh, that's amazing. I was like, you said it. It wasn't me. You guys said it. Like, it's inside of you. It really flows when you sit down and ask questions. And so they are always surprised that it feels like this is so us, yet now it's out in the open, Yeah. And so that's the first step. We first need to go in and capture that. It's almost like I want to bottle the essence of that church. And so I need to capture it first. And then we put together a plan. I always like to put together a plan that fits their, I can put an amazing communications plan together, but if you don't have the resources, the time, the people, the money, then it doesn't matter. So it needs to fit your context at all levels. Because I can say, you know what, we're going to do 3 reels every week and you're going to send me like, pastor has no time for that. So your plan needs to adjust to something else.
That's
good.
Okay, so Barbara, we appreciate having you. I think this has been really helpful for a lot of churches, learning just the differences and what email segmenting even is. So if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I'm easy to find on Facebook. So if you just look for my name, you're going to find me. But the agency is Word Revolution, not World. We might get there one day, but it's wordrevolution.com, and you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us for the Church Communications Podcast. To learn more and get more resources for your church, visit churchcommunications.com.